and welcome to the June 26, 2025 regular board meeting of the Cabrillo Unified School District Governing Board. The board is committed to maintaining a respectful and productive environment that fosters a culture of civility where staff, the community, and the board feel safe to express themselves and are free from... Oh.
We can do it now because if we have comments for any other item.
Okay. That's all right. Where was I? Oh, yes. And the board, where the staff, the community, and the board feel safe to express themselves and are free from bullying, harassment, and threats. The board welcomes your comments and requests that you express yourself accordingly. All members wishing to speak should complete a comment card and hand it to our executive assistants to the superintendent prior to the introduction of the item. Members wishing to address the board are allotted a 3 minutes per speaker, but this may be reduced depending on the number of speakers for items. The total time for a public comment shall not exceed 20 minutes. Please note that the speaking time cannot be delegated to another person. As a reminder, the CUSD Governing Board does not act upon non-agendized matters except under limited circumstances as permitted by law. Matters raised during the public comments will be referred to staff for further examination and action where appropriate. I would like to call this meeting to order.
Carmen?
Here.
Lisette?
Here.
Peter is not here yet. Brianna?
Here.
Mary Beth?
Here.
We have quorum.
All right, it's a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so now we're moving to approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion?
I can motion.
Second.
Thank you, Carmen. Thank you, Lisette. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes 4-0.
Our next item, 2, Spotlight the Coastside Way. Item A, celebrating our success. All right, come on down. Thank you.
Dr. Batia? Yeah.
Okay, so we have Corinne Bucher here, who is Executive Director of the Cabrillo Education Foundation. And we just want to say that without your support and the foundation's support, we would not be able to make it possible in supporting all of our different initiatives, including science, math, STEM, and thank you for the startup funds that continue to support our students and our educators in making education a great experience for students, staff, and families. And so we honor you tonight, Corinne. Thank you. We're going to give you a picture time.
Was that part of my 7 minutes?
No.
Just making sure.
See, your daughter's right.
Yeah.
You're a funny person.
Oh, I'm funny. Okay, so I do want to say thank you so much for having me here tonight. Really appreciate, and a very heartfelt thank you for the recognition, but I don't do this alone, but thank you. And I really want to recognize how much time and effort all of you put into this school district. So thank you very much. It's a pleasure to work with all of you. I was going to set my timer, but I'll be quick. So I have 7 minutes. Basically, just kind of a reminder of what the Cabrillo Education Fund does in the district. Our mission, which this has been our mission for a long time, is that we champion success for all Coastside public school students. Our goal is to provide equitable access across all school sites and to help lift up what CUSD is doing and what the PTOs are doing. So that's our main goal. I have the clicker. Okay, who we are. So we're led by an executive director, me, and then a volunteer board. The board ranges in size from 5 to 10 or 12. We have 3-year terms. And right now our board consists of me, our president, Alan Smith, our treasurer, Stephanie Azzarelli, a director, Kit Cutler, and a director, Carrie Blanton. We have an endowment investment advisory task force. So we raise money for an endowment. So we have some help managing that fund from Sandhill Global Investors, our executive committee, and me. And then we have an emeritus board made up of John Edgar, Deb Hedger, Christine Mendoza, and Anjali Gupta. So we have a lot of resources to depend on and to reach out to for guidance. A brief history of CEF. So CEF was established as an endowment in 2006. And in 2012 was the first time that we funded programs in the district. They wanted to wait until there was $1 million raised and then allocate funding at that point. So in 2012 was the first funding to CUSD. It was $90,000. Then in 2013, we established a distribution policy and our core focus areas. Why we did this is in 2012, we kind of opened up our allocations process to a huge number, like a lot of input, and got too much input, and we realized we needed to have some guardrails around how we were going to fund programs in the district so that we could really make an impact and have certain levers that we knew we could continue to invest in over time. So that's in 2013. We committed to science, STEM, math, college and career readiness, and early literacy. Then in 2014, they hired a full-time executive director for the first time. That was, oh my gosh, I just forgot his name. I'll think of it in mid-presentation. Kevin, no. Well, we had a couple of executive directors. That was a woman. I'll have to think of it. Okay. Sorry about that. But that's when they invested in an executive director as leadership. In 2015 was when CEF partnered with CUSD to co-author the Big Lift grant, which came into the district, which was very successful and has been, and we have been a model Big Lift district, which is exciting. 2016, we established a new funding process that was more collaborative with the district, and we started calling the grants strategic impact grants, and we met with leadership and got that process a lot more honed in and a lot more focused on the LCAP goals, what the district was trying to achieve, and then accelerating those things. So, and now the next big milestone I would say is our endowment is at 3.54. So we, have this nest egg and this ability for long-term funding across the district. Of course, we want to grow that, but that's where we are right now. Okay, so how do we achieve our mission? We continuously fundraise for the endowment and we seek grant and partnership opportunities. We provide long-term stable source of unrestricted income for educational programs. And in partnership with CUSD, we provide sustainable access to programs in all schools across the district. Okay. Our CEF process, we align with the CUSD mission and the LCAP goals. We enhance access to opportunities with a focus on science, math, early literacy, and college and career. And we monitor and measure progress. Our areas of funding, so we have a couple of buckets of funding. Endowment funding focuses on science, math, early literacy, and career and college. And thanks to CUSD, I'll get to that in a minute, we can fund the 5th grade science specialist, but I'll talk about that in the next slide. Other funding we get, which is a different bucket, we get scholarship money each year in around $25,000 to $30,000. We have student initiative grants, and we have a donor that gives us money for innovation grants. Then we also have initiatives which don't cost money, they just cost effort and partnership, and that would be the Community Hub and then the Career Exploration at Half Moon Bay High School. All right. Should I stop for questions, or is that at the end? Very end? Okay. Okay. So the impact last year, we focused on, so we think about it so we have math collaboration, science collaboration, 5th grade science specialist, and real life learning. I think we really think about success in terms of how many students we can impact. So the math collaboration is made up of 13 teachers. So that we're looking at teachers from 6th to 12th grade meeting monthly. That's going to impact about 1,800 students. Science collaboration, 5th to 12th grade, 14 to 16. I think I went to a meeting, it was like 16 or 18. And that impacts 1,900 students. 5th grade science specialist, all the 5th graders across the district. And real life learning is 9th to 12th grade, so we're looking at 900 to 1,100 students. Okay. Our strategic plan, so moving forward, is focusing on what we are doing. So for next year, we will still be in those same buckets and partnering with CUSD on the 5th grade science specialist, and we'll bring all of those things. What we want to fundraise for and what our strategic plan is to pull the lever of early literacy and really support what Rachel Sage's program is doing around that literacy initiative. There are a number of ways we can do that. This last year, we supported some parent engagement nights that were really successful, and we continue to work with Rachel Sage to understand what it is she needs for her program to be successful. Things like parent engagement, decodable books, expanded time in the classroom. There are a lot of things that we could support, so that's what we're talking to donors about now, is stretching into that, that initiative and supporting early literacy. And I think that may be all. Yes, and anytime, please reach out. There's my number. I love it when people reach out. Yeah, and so if there are any questions, I think one of the things I left out is in partnership, and I just had a discussion with the president at Fairlawn View PTO about partnering in ways. One of the things we did this year was raise some funding to expand the ag program at the high school through the Valhalla Foundation, gave us a $15,000 grant. So I'm always trying to look for ways that we could bring money in that would support, and I talked to Fairlawn View president about some of the needs up there. You know, as I'm talking to donors, is there a way that we can pull in that funding for something specific that's needed? And I love partnering that way as well. Or we do, CEF, I should say. Any questions?
I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you, like in my mouth or where? Okay. I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for all the work you do, and thank you for helping the community. You know, you don't do it alone, I know that, and we also don't do it alone. So we all have to work together as a community for the community. So thank you for all your work, and thank you for everything that you do. Could you tell me I was actually interested. I know you guys do a lot of stuff, and, you know, like I said, thank you, muchísimas gracias. But could you tell me a little more about how, you mentioned you monitor progress? Could you
That's
tell me
such a good question.
Could you tell me a little bit more about that? And then, based on the progress, do you expand, or do you feel like you need to focus more on one thing versus another? I'm just a little curious about that.
No, that's a great question, and that's something Leticia and I have been talking about, is how to get data to support so that we can actually raise more money as well. Right now, we're looking at data that goes back, all the dashboards go back, a year? So it is hard to look like what's happening right now, and I think we have also relied a lot upon testimonials from teachers. I have a number of them here, which I actually wanted to share, like with science collaboration. A teacher has said, this district-wide collaboration time is invaluable to me as a new CUNY teacher. It's given me an opportunity to learn from veteran peers and see the broader scope of students' scientific journeys in CUSD. So thinking about, also I got that with the math collaboration, helping us prepare our students earlier at the middle school level to take good notes, use their notes, and develop skills necessary to study, learn, and be successful in math courses. So we're always gathering these great testimonials that I think mean a lot, and go and attending some of the collaboration times, always following up with teachers, especially around innovation grants, to make sure those are rolling out and that's been successful. But yeah, the data piece is something that I want to really hone in on this year, and so we've talked about meeting and making sure we're really aligned with that.
That's great, because it would be good also to see some of that data as well. And thank you for sharing the testimonials. I know we don't have that much time, so if you ever feel like that you want to share it with us, you're always welcome to email us and let us know all the great things that are happening, because it's hard. We're up here, but we're not down in the trenches where all the teachers are doing all the hard work and doing the work that needs to get done. So thank you. And there was one last thing I forgot I was going to ask you. Se me olvidó.
Yeah.
And one last thing, if there's anything you would like to invite us, or any event or anything we could, as support for you, please feel free to reach out. I speak for myself. I'm sure the rest of the board members also feel the same way.
That's actually a really good idea. We have 2 student initiative grants this summer, 2 students one's going to Rice and one's going to Stanford. When they come back, that would be interesting to have like a tea or like we can't go drink at San Benito, I guess, because they're young, but we could do something, to something where y'all could hear
Could drink water.
from us. Yeah. So thank you. That's a great idea. I'll remember that.
Thank you so much. I thought I knew, and then now I don't. So I know the 5th grade science specialist, and I know what you're doing for real life learning. What is the funding for the math collaboration and science collaboration?
The actual number? Or what they're doing?
What are you funding?
Okay, so we're funding the teachers meeting on a monthly basis. They've been doing, math has been for 3 years, the science has been, 8, 9. Joe Santoni. So a very organized, I went to a science one, and, very organized. They're meeting monthly, they have an agenda, they're sharing tips and tricks, they're talking about that transition from middle school to high school. They're really aligning the curriculum, and so they meet monthly, and it's very specific, and both of those are organized the same way.
So you're funding
Their
the
stipend.
extra time. Oh, stipends. Okay,
Yes,
perfect.
stipends for attending.
Okay.
And the teacher that is organizing it gets a little bit more than the attendees.
And then just so, I know I'm always about you collaborating and discussing things with the PTO leaders. I think that's a great insight into what is going on directly at school sites and what could be needed.
Yeah.
I'll add my thank you. Thank you for your work. I'm curious about the endowment. Are there projections or goals for the endowment, say like 5 years from now, a decade from now? Or do you think about it like that?
Oh, yeah. We have a spreadsheet that has the projections, and we do think about it that way. I think last year was our biggest focus was to start to really build that strategic plan. And so we kind of lightened the load around the fundraising piece and the goals, because we wanted to make sure we were aligned together as a board and that we had a really meaningful lever to pull and something to raise money for that people bought into. And so we did a lot of talking to donors and talking to the district about, what could we fund that would really make a difference. And so now is the time where we will take that spreadsheet out again and look at those projections and numbers. And, it also depends on the market and what it's doing. So, yeah, Anjali Gupta, as a matter of fact, put together this really wonderful spreadsheet that we can look at all the numbers in and look at what we need to raise to get to 10 million, if, that's where we'd like to be.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Our next item, general business. Item A, presentation of draft facilities master plan for Half Moon Bay High School by QKA. Thank you.
I just want to remind the board that tonight's just a presentation. You're going to see lots of numbers, and I think we owe it to our community to really take our time and have a special study session. I'm recommending we have a study session that we can really focus a little bit more time. Their presentation is going to be a lot of information, a lot of numbers, but I actually think that we need to have a special study session just to go over. It'll give us time as well to make recommendations along with our teachers and our classified staff members, et cetera, right, and the community input that we've had, right, and really put something together and make sure that over the summer we take time to really look at things. You're going to see a big number here, right, and this is if we did it all, right, and so I'm not sure we're going to be able to do it all because we don't have enough to do it. I'll be real honest with you straight up, right, so I'm going to turn it over to our team, and I want to thank them and Roger and Drew and Jennifer and the entire team, all the community members, teachers that came on board, and board members that participated as well. There's a lot of input put there, and I'll throw it back to you guys. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So Leanne and I are happy to be here to present the draft, and as Dr. Miramonte said, we're going to kind of walk through at a high level of the draft and then give you all time to review that document. And we had a presentation with the site committee about a week ago to do the same with them and give them the opportunity to review that. And then we'll be kind of collecting all that feedback over the summer and bring that to the study session as a way to kind of dig into it deeper and work through any changes to the document that we might have, but also start to work through prioritization of projects and identify the first projects that we want to move forward into design with. So just a little bit of context of what we've been working on since the last time we met. So I think the last time we met, we were kind of in the middle of the process of meeting with the site committee. I'd had a couple of meetings and I think had one or two more. And so we've incorporated that feedback. We dug into the capacity analysis and trying to figure out the right number of classrooms to plan for in the future. Incorporated that information into an updated plan, and then got professional cost estimating done on that as well, so we have a conceptual budget for each of the projects that you'll see, and that gives us an overall total conceptual budget. As expected and predicted, it's more than the amount of money that you have available, which is typical, and that we're trying to plan for the long term, and that this bond will be one piece of funding that, but not all of that. And then the other thing just to remember too is that master plan is always a living document. It responds to the conditions that we know about right now and our understanding of them. And as those conditions change, we'll want to update that document as well, usually at least on kind of a 5-year basis. So you can see on the first page here just some basic data about the school itself and about the capacity both of the existing campus and what we're planning for in the future. Let's see if this is perfect. And then we have just a quick aerial view of what the campus looks like today. and then the kind of site plan interpretation of that. And just as a reminder that, we identified a bunch of different needs across the campus. Some of the bigger ones were some significantly undersized classrooms that really don't serve the needs of the teachers and the students that well. And a lot of just worn out buildings that need significant modernization or replacement. And a number of other things in addition to that, but those are really the two kind of primary needs that are kind of spread across the whole campus. And I'll let you walk through.
Sorry about that. So the first thing that we did before we started meeting with the site groups was we did an assessment of the existing, just the physical conditions of all the buildings. We walked the site, and all of our engineers did electrical, mechanical, plumbing, civil engineer, and structural engineer. I think that's it. And so we would have this layer of what the existing conditions are physically to overlay onto the master planning goals of, more programmatic and what you want the school to be. So this is just the metrics that we used to assess all those things. This is just an example of one part of one building, Building A, where we looked at I think this is in the classrooms, and then at the bottom we just did a few bullet points of major challenges and then opportunities, which are things that we saw that could be easily addressed. And again, there's another example, and there's a bunch of these. It's basically every building on the campus at a high level. And then, what happened? It keeps going, what do I do? This one? Oh, backwards, okay. So then and we came to, this is after meeting with site committee and looking at the assessment, this is the overall picture that we showed of all the different projects that we identified on the site at one time. So there's little notes and color coding regarding what those things are. And with the site committee, we identified a list of projects that they felt were the highest priority, or some were higher priority to medium priority to a little bit lower, but we identified a list of projects that they wanted to see the cost of. And that's what so that's what this is. This is, the first one is campus-wide, just utility upgrades. And the cost that our cost estimator provided, these are today's cost. At the end, there's a chart that shows what escalation is, so what each of these projects, the additional costs they would potentially be over 5 years. So you can see some of them are pretty concrete, like the bike and footpath. It's very easy to identify what that would be. And some of them are more, the bottom one there is more like improved pickup and drop off. We know that something has to happen there. We didn't design the fixes here. We just looked at the area and some of the things that we needed to accomplish, and that's what our estimator used based on their previous experience doing this kind of work and seeing, what costs are like. So the parking was split into two separate pieces. Then we have improving the quad, and there's little bullet points of what that includes. We got feedback already, as Aaron said, from the site committee on several of these items, and so we didn't include those notes here because we just got them, but we're going to take those comments and your comments and incorporate them over the summer so that we could come back in August at the study session with a more, just an updated version and more dialed in version of all these things. Again, there's the new monument sign, that's easy. Lights at the baseball field, synthetic turf, those are also very discrete items. The new pool area, that is something that includes the new pool, a shade structure, a changing area, some fencing, so that's a bigger piece of work. And then the new press box. Then we get into the buildings. There are different levels of, based on first the assessment, physical assessment, and then what we run into something with the division of the state architect where, depending on if we how much work we do, we may trigger a seismic upgrade, a required upgrade, and we try to. So the minor modernization is something that we try not to get into that level of work. And those are not to say that these buildings are not safe now. It's just the code has changed, and when you do work on the buildings, you have to update that. So these are three minor modernization projects, including Building K, which is, it looks like a big number, but it's a much bigger building. And Building F is a new building, which is would be multiple functions in there, student gathering, some functions that we would move from the admin over, like student-centered functions like counseling, et cetera, and the multi-purpose room activities. Then Building G is also proposed to be a new building. Building G was what everyone considered least functional. It's very undersized classrooms and also not in good condition. So that's proposed to be a new 2-story building, classroom building. Building H would be a major modernization, which is kind of reconfiguring the spaces inside, but keeping the building. The gym, and then Building J on the other side of the gym. New Building M, this is a CTE-focused building with lab spaces. And New Building A, another classroom building, again, to replace the existing building with more, with the classrooms of the appropriate size, and then the functions that you really need. Major modernizations at these 2 buildings with the costs. And then I'm going to hand it back over to Aaron to talk about the capacity and then the costs over the next 5 years.
So I think kind of we went through the overall projects pretty quickly, but what that adds up to is really upgrading a lot of the existing buildings and replacing 3 of the least functional buildings, which are A and G, the classroom buildings in the existing multi-use room, with new classrooms and a new student commons that'll better serve students and teachers in the community long term. And we also took a very careful look at the enrollment and capacity, which is what this table shows. It's a little too small to read on this page, but you guys can zoom in at home. But what that really shows is we identified a number of undersized classrooms, and almost half of the classrooms on the campus don't meet the recommended sizes that the California Department of Education has, which is 960 square feet for a standard classroom and a bit bigger than that for a science lab. So mostly what we're proposing to do is replace those undersized classrooms with full-size classrooms. So we have a pretty similar number of classrooms, pretty similar overall capacity that we have now, but actually the appropriate size spaces. So we'll have more square footage overall, but the same kind of capacity and number of students. So we're looking at our target was to plan to a capacity of about 1,000 students, which is a little more than the campus has now, but a little less than it's had in the past in students, but identify places where we could expand in the future at some point if need be to up to a capacity of 1,200. So I think we ended up with a target, with a plan for a capacity of about 1,050, a little more than that. So that was something that we talked about a lot with the staff and with the site committee, and kind of worked back and forth through kind of understanding that process and how we go about doing that and what those numbers mean, and kind of settling in on this recommended number of classrooms, number of teaching spaces on the campus. And that is your overall cost table. So if we add up, let's see, is this guy? Oh, wow. Ooh, look at that. All right, cool. So in this column, we have our project total. So with that is the addition of your construction costs. So that's the contractor's guaranteed maximum price or bid, plus the soft costs, which is everything else you need to complete the project. So from project management, construction management, design, engineering, legal costs, fees, et cetera. So that's about 25 to 30% more, and then that's the project total. And then going over, we have escalation for each year. So each year we go forward in time, things cost more, and so we're adding on that. So if we're doing this first project today, it's $17.6 million. If we're doing it a year from today, it's another $700,000, and then 2 years, another one, et cetera. So that kind of gives you an idea, and once we have a better idea of the implementation plan about sort of when each project is going to happen, then we'll factor in this escalation as that plan is built out too. And that gets us to a total, if I can get, there we go, of $168 million in need that we identified at Half Moon Bay High School for all these projects. And as Leanne said, that there's a lot of feedback, we're still incorporating it, and that some of those numbers will move around as we refine that. I think one of the things we talked about was with the quad, it seemed like that was probably overestimated, and they're including, the estimator was assuming more scope than we really want to do there. We can probably scale that back a little bit, but there'll be other changes in other places as we refine this and get to the final document. That's kind of the overview, and we'd be happy to take any questions. You look like you have a question.
I'm just speechless. The price is like, yeah, but I understand. I don't have a question per se, but I'm curious. When you were talking about the high priority versus low priority, and I do think it's important to take into consideration what the teachers need, and because we don't know, and until that day we went and saw the classrooms. There's like tiny little classrooms, like one outlet, and it's like with all these like extra cables, and I'm like, what is this? And so, you guys see.
It's the classroom that you attended.
It's the
classroom you attended.
It's one of the
ago.
ones, yeah. I was like, I don't remember it like this, but, it was other times. But I'm just curious how the priorities how it was lower to higher priorities.
Sure. Yeah, and I think that's something we're planning to dig into at the study session a bit more. We did talk about it quite a bit at a couple of our site committee meetings, and kind of went through a process with that group of sort of prioritizing what's sort of low, medium, high impact, and within sort of low, medium, and high cost buckets. So we have some general information from that committee about what they felt like was most important that we can bring to the study session with you all. Generally, that was the classrooms. So it was replacing the undersized classrooms. It was modernizing the existing buildings. I think the Student Commons building also was a pretty relatively high priority, because there really aren't spaces on campus for students to enjoy and feel welcome and feel like is their own. And we heard that from students, but also from the teachers.
It's also, he could hear me like, oh, let me talk. It's a tool that we use for helping people prioritize and seeing the whole picture, because otherwise it's like everything's high priority. So we force them to say, okay, well, relative to this one, how does this one measure up? And is it going to impact? So it's basically a tool to get to help us all see more clearly what the issues are.
Everyone always tries to put everything in the high.
Yeah, I get it.
Doesn't really help.
I was just curious if it was like more based on the staff or on the district or on the label of the price. I mean,
it was a mixture of people that were there.
Okay.
And the other part of it was, it's a two-way little metric, and one of it is educational impact, and the other one is cost.
Okay.
So it could be low cost, high educational impact. It goes in that square.
Okay.
If it's high cost, low educational impact, like the sauna, that was going to go in Andy's office. That, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's
okay.
And I just want to comment as a board member who's been part of the meeting. So in the meeting, there's teachers, Andy, site staff, parents, and everyone is giving like their input and trying to. So like, I think all important parties are being covered. I'm not part of the committee that has students, but like they tell us, like the students that come in, and they really have been forcing because it was like, well, that's important, that's important. Okay, you guys, you can't all have it in that top right corner.
And I don't see it, but maybe it's not as important, but I thought it was a little important. Like a sign where it says what's up that road, or what's up that road. I mean, it's like.
Right, and that's the monument sign that was
Okay,
identified,
that's
which
the
is
monument.
going to be down
It's
kind
like
of
a
at the
big
intersection.
arc and a big cougar. Okay, great.
To be designed later, but a good budget for that too, yeah. Yeah, that definitely came up. I think one of the other sort of big issues was really access to the site, right? Both safe access for pedestrians and kids on bikes, being able to see where the site is, and then traffic impact. And obviously, there are limitations around that. We don't get to control the intersection at the bottom of the hill and things like that. And we talked about that a lot. And I think what we ended up showing was really kind of identifying there are kind of a few problem areas here that we want to attack, but it's going to take a lot of engineering and traffic engineering and stuff to figure out what the best way to do that is. But establishing some good budgets to be able to do that, so we can figure out, is that what we want to spend money on or not? And I think to your point, we got a good cross-section and good conversation in that meeting around that input, and then that's really information for you all to consider and make the decisions about what's most important and what to move forward with first.
Thank you so much for all your work. I know that it's to assume that as time goes by, things get more expensive. If there's any discounts or anything, like, please keep us in mind.
Sure.
I know I mentioned this last time you were here, but I just want to mention it again, that Brookwood Advisors has also done some work for us up there, and I don't know if you've had a chance to talk to them or not, but they were looking also at the access and placement of buildings and all that, because we were thinking about moving the courtyard up there. So they looked at traffic and pedestrian access. And also there were plans, which may still, we'll need to figure out what we're doing, but to move the bus barn yard up there. And I see you don't have that on your plan, so I really think we need to have maybe, we've already paid some money for them to do some of this work, so.
Yeah, we had some coordination with them
Okay.
a ways back, but that was really more focused on Hatch.
Oh.
When we were working on projects at Hatch, and they were working on the housing proposals there, which I think is tied into
Right.
what you're talking about too, but we can connect
Yeah,
with them.
because they were
about-
thinking about moving that bus up there, and then if
Okay.
the central kitchen ends up being at the high school, then the buses are there. If the power goes out, then they can hook into the generators on the buses to keep the food cold.
Yeah,
That
we
was all
talked
part of the plan.
about some pieces of that, but it would
Okay,
be
so
good to
anyway,
get some more
just be
information
aware,
about
because
that
we've
too.
already paid for some of that work. I don't, maybe they have different ideas or whatever, but
Sure.
that collaboration is there. And then also there's a group of people that want to help us build a pool. And their idea is to have two pools up there, one for the public and one here, but that might be another bridge that you need to
Yeah, it
work
would
with, because they're trying to pay for the pools up there. So just those two things where there's
Sure.
other stuff going on that it doesn't look to me like maybe you've heard about.
The pool that we show it's not two pools, but it does incorporate having it be a public and school pool. So having lessons there and the school use for it, and ability to get into it without going through the school. And that's what the extra little changing room and stuff, that would be for public.
Well, the people that want to give us the
Yeah.
money to do the pool
Right.
also have a plan, and it's based off some pool in Sonoma. But they have drawings. I think they're getting drawings, paying for the
There
Drawings
have
and
been
stuff.
lots of discussion. I've got to round up everybody together.
Yeah, okay, so
No,
anyway,
but because
just-
there is that.
Just
There-
be aware, I guess.
Yeah, so we started off with what we could do with the money here, but there is an opportunity, right? And I will be reaching out, and Rosie's already scheduling time with elected officials and Friends of the Aquatic Center to see how we might co-collaborate. I'd like to include the city on this as well, to see how they might be able to work with us. We know the aquatics program is important across. We live on the coast. We know the importance of an aquatics training program, swim lessons, however you want to state that, right? And we need partnerships. The district can't do that, but what we can do is work collaboratively with our partners across, and our dollar will go a little bit further if we include these other partners. So my to-do this summer is to coordinate this so that I have some ideas that I can bring back to the group, right, and bring back to study session for that time.
Fair enough, just so everybody's on the same page.
I mean, that's exactly the kind of information that we
I appreciate you bringing that up. I've had other board members share that opportunity as well, so that's great.
Thank you. I have a couple questions. So obviously, building F and G are the big ticket items, 51 million projected.
Yep.
Could you drill down for us a little bit more and help us understand why it's a better idea to start from scratch for these two buildings? And why, I guess, from your perspective, what you're hearing and what you're envisioning, these two buildings would be worth the 51 million. That's a third of the available funds that we have.
Yeah, it is a big piece. It'll also end up being, a third of the high school too, if that project was done. I would say in general, just, buildings A and G, we're both proposing to replace as classroom buildings. And that's really because we felt like in order to the costs to renovate them, to bring them up to a current standard with the right size spaces, with the full structural upgrade that would be triggered by that, is gonna probably cost 75% as much as it would to just replace them and not get you the same quality of space. Also, we need to, that still would, even if you did that, we'd take, a bunch of small classrooms and make them bigger classrooms, so we'd still need more space to create enough bigger classrooms. So that would be further cost, and usually when it gets pretty far beyond that 50% of replacement cost threshold, we start to recommend replacing those buildings unless they have some significant historical value or something like that it's worth preserving. So that's really the calculation that went into really all three of those buildings. I think in addition, building F, the current multi-use room, and replacing that, we really want to increase the functionality of that in a way that I don't think we really could do within the shell of the existing building. So making a much better performance space, but not a dedicated performance space, one that can still be used for student activities and lunch and different things during the day, but really kind of upgrading the capabilities of that space and its connection to the rest of the campus. Right now, it's a very inward-facing space that's really closed off from the rest of the campus, and I think to be successful, it needs to be much more open and connected and visible from the rest of the campus.
So building F would be the student union idea?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I did not have a student union in high school, so I'm struggling to see why we need that, but I'm going to keep an open mind.
Well, it's sort of a combination of things that, might have been a performing arts center, might have been a cafeteria, might have been those kind of things, might have been some functions that happen in a library. But I think what we see on a lot of campuses now too is wanting places to really support students in the things that are outside of class, a place for them to come before school and after school and between classes and things like that, where they can get additional resources, but also just have a place to go. That supports their needs and really is kind of their space. And I think that's particularly true on this campus that we heard from the students. There was a session where our colleague Christina came down and talked to a bunch of students with Drew over lunch and a leadership class, and we had a couple of students or 2 or 3 students at one of our site committee meetings too, and that's one of the things they talked about is a lot of kids hang out in their cars because the only place to hang out is outside, and it's cold a lot, and there's not really anywhere for them to go and really feel welcome and at home at school, and that really was the idea of kind of addressing that need.
I remember that's exactly what we did. I didn't have a car. My friends, we didn't have cars, but that was the place to go because if it was raining or if it was too hot or whatever, it's Half Moon Bay,
Yeah.
but still, we wanted like some sort of roof, and we were not gonna spend our entire lunch walking up and down that hill, so we decided to stay on campus. So
Yeah.
I think still today, I think it does serve a purpose for the students.
I just want to say that the student union is not a everyone's on board with idea. It's pretty polarizing actually. There's some who are like, yes, this would be great, and some are like, I don't know, like this doesn't, so it's one of those things that we're discussing, like, and it's being talked, it's noticed the cost and how much of a use, because yes, we don't have places for kids to go, but the cost of it when we're looking at other things, is that something, because you would have to wait on that whole building then if we're not prioritizing that first, and then how long are kids going to be in these smaller like unused classrooms in G. So it just, yes, I didn't have a student union either, but there's also, we have an what I was talking to some high school teachers at San Mateo High. They're like, we don't have a student union, but we also have an indoor high school where like Half Moon Bay is considered an outdoor high school. Like you walk outside to get to other classrooms. So what are you doing when there's like inclement weather, lunch, stuff like that without, and right now I believe it's like asking teachers to open up their classrooms or like go to the cars or whatever.
Yeah, because I mean, the uncomfortable reality is this is probably going to cost $200 million, and so we have to find a way to cut a third. So a lot of things are going to have to be cut. Yeah. And I know it's early, and we're just brainstorming, but another question for you. Based on this, it looks like it's not feasible to put the pool anywhere except where it is now. Is that your take?
I wouldn't necessarily say that it's not feasible. We just thought that was the most practical place to put it because you can take advantage of existing utility infrastructure, connection to the existing locker rooms. We showed a small, 1,000 square foot building to provide some public small changing rooms and pool equipment room and things like that. But for a big event, for a athletic competition, you can use the locker rooms that are right there and not have to replicate those. Yeah. So it seemed the most practical, and we thought kind of one of the things we could do with reconfiguring the parking lots just a little bit is allow kind of direct access to the pool so people want to walk through the campus to get to it. So yeah. If it's a public use event that's during school hours, which you want to be able to have happen, you can still do that and access it independently. So we thought we can accomplish all that with it in that location. And that's, I think is it possible to put it in a different location? Yeah, we talked about a couple of other locations where, yeah, would it make sense to go there? But it also means that it's more accessible, if it's located somewhere else. And I think one of the things that was suggested was like where the roller hockey rink is, right, or something like that. But then it really doesn't become that functional for the PE program, for that swim teaching aspect of the PE program. If it's all the way down there, you can't really use it in a practical way too.
As we've been discussing, I think there's potential for significant further investment from the community, the county, state.
That would be great.
And so I think it's an important decision to make early where we're going to put it to manage expectations. And so I don't have a dog in the fight in terms of where I want the pool, but I guess one of the takeaways maybe from tonight is if we did decide on a different location, you're talking about a higher price tag.
Yes.
Because of those infrastructure things
yes.
you're talking about. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say thank you again. Like this process has been just really great, like working with you guys and the way that you've been breaking these things down ahead of time and the way you've been leading our meetings I just really appreciate the whole thing so far, and thank you both.
Likewise.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a great team to work with.
We couldn't do it without, especially with the repeat people that keep coming to the site. That's a big commitment.
And I'm going to throw out some dates in August. Rosie, in our next Monday memo, we'll throw out some dates to see what we might be able to do on a Thursday night or a Tuesday night, maybe even, just to really spend some. And I really want to do it during the work week when staff is available to come after, because I think it's important. I wouldn't want them to give up a Saturday, right? But after work, if they want to hear the conversation and how we prioritize. But it'll be sometime in August. The latest, in August. Remember, we have to work around open house or back to school nights and our board meeting then. And so it's a short time period, but I'd like to have it, as soon as possible in August when staff is back, actually. All righty? Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Our next business item, 3B, approval of the local control accountability plan. 2025 to 2026.
The board received the presentation of the local control accountability plan. We are still waiting for the county to provide us an update. We will have to come back and make some of those adjustments and present those to the board. We're asking that the board approve the plan as is, and we make the adjustments from the recommended county input afterwards.
I will move to approve the plans as written currently.
Second. Can we comment now?
Yes, now, yes.
Oh, okay. Did you want to comment? Okay. So August then?
I just want to add one thing. So the county did give us recommendations, both to the business department and to Ed Services, and our teams went in and updated all of those recommendations. That's the current plan that is posted and that you have right now. And now it's back to the county, and so they're rechecking to make sure that those recommendations were updated. But there may be, and it has happened in the past, where in August they say, oh, well, you need a few more recommendations. So we'll list in August those lists of recommendations. Should we get there, they might approve it as is and we don't have to come back. So there's a small chance, but there's also a chance that we'll come back in August with additional recommendations.
And it is a living document, so if we turn left or right, we just want to make sure that the public knows what we're doing and the board knows. It's being as transparent as possible. And we'll do an update as well in January, correct, for the mid-year update? Correct.
No more questions? Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes 5-0.
All right, our next item, 3C, adoption of the CUSD budget for the fiscal year 2025-2026.
You received a presentation from Jennifer Marsh, our CBO last board meeting. I'm asking that the board adopt, I can see, I might adopt the budget as is. Thank you.
All right.
We need motion and second.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments?
I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you for the document explaining the salary reductions. That was really helpful to see that. It kind of put into perspective a lot of the questions I had about where are the cuts coming from. So thank you.
Ready to vote? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes 5-0.
Our next item is item 3D, district-wide bond facilities project update presentation.
Lots occurring this summer, and of our tag team duo between Drew and Roger will update the board and the community on the summer projects. Drew?
Can they hear you on TV? Because it doesn't sound like you're using a microphone.
How about that? There we go. So, thank you all for this opportunity to address you. June 9th was Rogers and I's first day of school. So we have been going like crazy. Even from the time that the board agenda was published till now, I have an even further update on some of these things, some of our projects that we've got going on. So let's go ahead and get started. So at Fairlawn View, Roger will get into the bigger construction projects that are going on. In addition to what's going on at Fairlawn View, LeConte Avenue is a part of school district property, and so there has been some serious damage that's been done to that road over time. And so we're going to be doing a little bit of repair on that road to make it so that parents can drop their students off nice and safe. We're going to be painting buildings, C&D, doing some minor metals repair on those buildings as well. And we've added some fencing to CCP to make sure that the campus is entirely controlled so that no one can just wander onto campus, so that campus will be safe for our students. Hatch Elementary School, our multiple bids have come in, and we also have a proposal from QKA. They're going to help us with the design, because even though we have a DSA pre-approved structure, the structure is the only part that's pre-approved. The holes in the ground, the path of travel, the ADA, the access to restrooms, that is not. And so they are going to be helping us with that project, but that will be underway. Hopefully looking to get that structure put in either over Thanksgiving break or winter break. We'll see how DSA decides to move forward with approval. Painting is complete, although it wasn't complete when the agenda was published. I was anticipating its completion. It is now complete, but I don't have pictures of it being completed. So I'll be sure to, you can look for a construction update. I'm going to do another newsletter in mid-July, so you can get some more pictures, and we'll get those out to the community so people can see that. And right now it looks like we're on track for actually having that lovely, lovely shed that you all saw demolished before school starts. So we're looking forward to that. Turf replacement, obviously, everyone's seen it going on at the baseball and the Cunha soccer fields. The wind made for a wonderful display of the underpad kind of blowing everywhere over the weekend, but we got that back under control, and we're making sure that that's taken care of, making sure that site's safe, especially here at Cunha, where the kids are going in and out of the Boys and Girls Club. And obviously we've got our master planning that's going to be ongoing over the summer as well. I would just also like to add to this, there are other projects that are ongoing and that we are planning. I did get a couple of emails, for example, I did not include, for example, on this list, the Farallon View playground. It's project, it's in progress. We are looking to do that next summer. But I didn't include absolutely everything on this particular update, because in some cases there isn't really an update. It's ongoing, we're getting bids, there's kind of a process that's going on. And so we're also looking at the full picture of the school district. We do have other buildings at other sites that are still undersized. Most notably here at Cunha. We have other light modernization that can be done to some of our buildings that doesn't necessarily fall into the big projects that we're looking at the high school. You guys kind of talked about it earlier, Mary Beth, with the partnerships that we can potentially pull together across the community to help pay for some of these, especially for facilities that might have a mixed use between the school district and the city. And then we are looking at the district-wide facilities master plan that we would need to do over the next couple of months. And that would be to make sure that we have the opportunity to have access to Prop 2 dollars, which is going to be another kind of secondary important reserve of monies. And that's a new requirement. All districts in the state keep that up if you want to have access to those construction dollars. So that is definitely coming. So there will be some more bigger projects on the way. And so with that, I'm going to kick it over to Roger to talk about the big stuff.
Thank you, Drew. Good evening, Dr. Miramontes, members of the board, Half Moon Bay community members. So this slide here shows the program that we're currently working on, all the buildings, Farallon, El Granada Phase 1 and 2, as well as the turf replacements. This slide was a Gantt chart, which was really hard to look at, but this currently you could see all the dates that show construction durations for each of these projects. This slide will be available as needed to review. Next slide. Farallon View, it is making great progress. They've finished Building A last year, and they are closing on finishing Building B and the MU. The classrooms in Building B are ready. Furniture is moving in on Monday, next Monday, and the MU kitchen and the shade structure is in progress and due to complete at the end of July for the beginning of the school year. Excellent progress is being made with construction. Here's some photos front of campus. A little hard to see, but this is a view of Building A on the right and Building B to the left, as well as the MU. Shade structure, there's a photo of the shade structure and the progress in the inner courtyard of the campus. These photos have made a lot more, there's been a lot more progress in the last 2 weeks, but we submitted a couple weeks ago. These are photos from that point in time. And as we move into the building, these are the classrooms and the casework, cabinetry being installed inside of the Building B classrooms. And the last slide on the bottom is a view of the new student or new teacher parking lot towards the back of the campus behind Building B, where there'll be new landscape, new pavement with some more stalls, more accessible parking for the staff. Moving over to El Granada Elementary School, we have both Phase 1 and 2 underway. Phase 1 is what we all see off of Highway 1, and that's Building C, closing on construction, and we're moving towards an August 1st substantial completion, which means all the construction work will be done, fire alarm tested, and that's our date that we're moving towards to complete Building C and occupy it. And as far as the next phase of building, not to provide enough credit for Phase 1, because there's certainly a lot of work that's being done there every day. They're working weekends, and we are having constant meetings with them, with a good contractor who's currently meeting the schedule, and we're putting in a lot of time to make sure that building is delivered. The next phase is the modernization of buildings A, D, K, and M. That's also known as Phase 2. We received DSA approval. That occurred last Friday on June 20th, so that was great news, which allows us to then move forward with that work. And then moving on to a little more detail on the lighting, El Granada Phase 2, we did receive note from our planner from the county, and I'll just share that the parking lot CDP was routed to the CCC, the Mid-Coast Council, and DPW early this week by the county. So that was submitted by the county planner. So that will start its review process, and we should be seeing a date for that to go for approval to the county court. I'll keep everyone posted. So then moving on to interior photos. Oops. I went a little too far. Let me go back. This is interior photos of El Granada Phase 1. Sheetrock is in process. They've completed that, which is a major milestone inside the building, allows them to move on with a lot more work now. There's a good view of the music room with the roll-up door installed and finishes completed on the exterior. That's a better view of the building than we've seen in a while. Now that it's been painted and the scaffolding's been removed, they're able to move forward with a lot more work. The next project that's underway is, as Drew mentioned, the Cunha soccer field replacement, as well as the Half Moon Bay High School field replacements. That's underway. I started June 9th, and they're also making good progress. Some of the photos I'll share. This is the Cunha field when they were removing the old turf. It was, it's worth mentioning that the field was past warranty, so the district is replacing the field because it's at that point in time where it should be replaced, and it did show a lot of signs of wear and tear. Here's a photo of Cunha's old turf being removed and getting ready for the new one. And finally, there's a little bit of preparation occurring at the Half Moon Bay High School baseball field. The temporary fencing was installed, but at the time that this report was done, we had not yet removed the old turf, but it now has been removed, and both fields are underway with grading activities. Any questions?
I have a question, I realize, because I've been on campus and I'm curious about this. At
Yes.
Fairlawn View, what are the circle things that are being dug out?
In front or in the back?
By the shade structure.
Okay.
There seems to be a few. Like,
There will be decorative concrete work being placed back there. There's also tree wells and sitting areas so they are excavating those into the ground. Yes.
Thanks.
Sure.
I got a couple questions. So, Bacante Avenue, that's not the county's responsibility, that's ours?
No, that is on our property. The only part that isn't on our property is at the very end. So when you drive up there, there's a spot where people have just kind of created a de facto parking spot where it's just kind of dirt and it drops off. So up at about there, it goes back to county land, like where the nature signs are and stuff that the county's put up. All the rest of that is ours.
And was that an anticipated cost in terms of the project? Like, were we thinking?
No, this
It was
is this was just something that came up especially as we were doing surveys related to safe routes to schools.
And do we have an idea of what that's going to cost?
Yeah, I think our bid came in at 26, 28, something like that. It's and Andrini's going to be able to get it done. We should have that patchwork. We're not replacing the road. We're just doing some patches on the spot. So we're doing some spot patchwork there, but that should be completed before the teachers are coming back for their move-in days.
That makes me feel much better. When you were talking about it before, I was envisioning anything to do with the road. Like, oh my gosh, how much is this going to cost? But it's basically patches.
Yes. Right now we're just doing patches.
And then Kings Mountain, can you speak to anything you can tell us about the roof? When we went out on our visit in the past spring, I remember some concerns about the roof and the fact that they might have to be replaced soon. Can you speak to any of that?
At this point, we're not looking at. Go ahead.
Yes, Pete, we are replacing it. We have you talked to me a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Jennifer had Jaime go out, and this is, I think, the difference between what deferred maintenance is and what bond projects are, right? So I want to give, to answer your question, yes, we have a quote for that roof, and yes, it needed to be done.
Awesome.
And it was on our list, but now we're starting to prioritize. We're getting together and with the team of what are deferred maintenance costs, and we have some developer fees we can assign to deferred maintenance projects, right? And then we've got our construction and bond projects, right? Okay. But definitely, the roofing overall wasn't bad except for the library one, but we're having to take a look at all of it.
Got it.
And so we have we have a proposal already, correct, for that. So we're hoping to get it done this summer. So it is a priority. And then as far as Fairlawn View, I really want to do the playground. I mean, I was pushing hard, been pushing Drew hard, but unfortunately, that has to go to DSA, and if we go back to DSA, we have to have a different pathway, because if you know, we're between buildings C and D, it slopes down, right. So they've got to cut that out. So that's something we're going to look at for next summer. Yeah. We'll have to put it on the priority list. I'll figure out where this goes through.
And the timing, it's not that critical, because we would have need time to build it anyway. So it takes another year to kind of get everything taken care of.
As you have seen, there's a lot of needs at all our school sites. So, but Kings Mountain was one of my updates. I want to make sure that you guys had there. I've been up to the school site. The painters that are there did a fabulous job. Super clean, prompt, attention to detail. So really, again, I want to get back to a program where we have a deferred maintenance program, and we're taking care of our schools, and we're not waiting for bonds to save us, right? And so, I want to thank these guys, Jaime, Jennifer, and the entire maintenance and operations team, because it really makes a huge difference when we take care of our campuses.
I think they'd struggle to hear us on TV when we're like this. That's been it's super frustrating to watch.
So my apologies, but yes, so Kings Mountain roofing is going to happen. We have a proposal for that. I just want to reiterate that Fairlawn View and Ms. McVicker knows that in order to redo the playground, that was a priority for us. We have to go back to DSA because of the what's it called, pathway, ADA pathways, right, between buildings C and D. And unfortunately, that would take us another year to actually get through, but that is a priority for next summer for sure.
I just wanted to say thank you for getting the ball rolling on the playground at Farallon View. I've had a lot of feedback about that, so I'm happy that's at least on the to-do list. And of course, I did have a quick question about the lighting at El Granada. I know I've gotten a lot of feedback about that as well. Is there any updates with that?
Yes, the planner did send me an email earlier this week that she was forwarding the current drawing set to the CCC, the MCC, and DPW, which they will, all three of those groups will review the drawing set and make their recommendations. And it, as far as timing goes, it should mean that we'll see a date to go to a hearing by August. So that means we should see a date by August. That date could be in September, but that's what I'm anticipating at this time. Okay. You're welcome.
I also just want to thank all of you guys for all your hard work. Jennifer, everybody, Jaime, Drew, Roger, all of you, thank you so much. Because I didn't realize how much attention and how much need there needs to be from our staff to make sure that we optimize our money, that we make sure that we're building things that make sense and that are useful. And if it wasn't because of you guys, we just walked one day and we're like, oh, that's interesting. But you guys, thank you so much for all your work, because we're in a crisis. We need to optimize our money and have better classrooms for our future students and our current students. So thank you. Oh, one more thing. If you ever want to invite us again for update, walkthroughs, I would love to be part of it.
Same, because I missed mine too.
Of course.
And I'm always willing to drive you out. As a passenger, Drew drives me out, and it's actually fun to see the small progress, right? And I know our teachers will be excited. I know that the Kings Mountain staff already has reached out and said thank you. And the community itself. I was there at an ice cream social one evening, and it was past parents that have graduated whose kids volunteer, college, high school kids that came out and said, thank you for taking care of the school. They heard that it was going to be painted and some upgrades were going to be happening. Still have to do some stuff on the inside, but again, we're looking at deferred maintenance costs and how we might be able to do those.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Okay, on to item E, approval of agreement with CRISP Imaging for secure document digitization and retention services. Okay, we need sorry.
Glasses. No, I'm going to talk a little bit about this, sorry. To ensure ongoing compliance with data retention laws and improve operational efficiency, the district has reviewed service providers with expertise in securing document digitization and retention. I want to thank Jennifer and her team. We've walked out there, we've got, I think, probably your report cards and your report cards back stored there, right? And they're in a good place, but they could be in a better place up in the cloud. And so we're going to digitize, more than 40 years worth of or longer, right? 60 years worth of employment records, IEPs, graduation, et cetera, that we need to do. And we've got an ongoing plan of doing this annually so that we're not at a place where we're running out to a storage bin or a warehouse to look for with inclement weather that we have. So it's one of the things that I noticed right away that we need to get caught up with. and we're asking to use fund for it. It's the only money we have available. We really want to protect those dollars, but it's something that we have to do and we should do. We should be responsible to public records and that are personnel and student records, I should say, that should be protected.
We need a
Make
motion?
to move.
I'll second. And then I have a question. How many 60 years, we have to go back that far? Keep those many years?
For student records, yes.
Oh, okay. 60 years or just the whole life?
Oh, the whole life. We have records from the 1960s.
And we have to keep those?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question. Oh, sorry.
I had a question. So once they're digitized, like we're paying a fee to them, right, to use their software so we can find it. So my question is, if they go out of business, do we still have the files and we would just have to get different software to find what we need? How does that work?
Yeah, so I did this with the County of Orange, right? And so, yes, this will be stored in the cloud. Our IT department will be working with their IT department on where it is, where it's stored. They will also keep the files on premise in a warehouse of their own. That they keep those as well. So if something were to happen, if they were to go out of business, we would get them back. But
we would get the physical file, not the.
Well, we could get the physical file if we need a physical file. That's why they're keeping them on. I think the hard thing is really going through every single record, and that's what they do. They go through every single record to see what's salvageable, right? And so they'll give us those pieces. But yes, I mean, they've been doing this for all sorts of districts up and down the state.
So if they go out of business, we have access to the files, but then we'd probably have to work with another software company to set
Correct.
something up so we can
Correct.
search it. Is
Correct.
that correct? Okay. And are they also, when they go through it, they'd be like, oh, we don't need Lizette's report card, and they'll throw that out?
They will do all the shredding for us as well. They will do all the shredding for us as well, things that we don't need to have. So yes, it's all inclusive.
How long have they been in business?
Quite some time. I don't know exactly the amount of time, but they've been doing this for quite a while. I know in Orange County, they probably had 14. I know they have a couple of districts up here. I know they have a warehouse. I want to say, is it Livermore? I think it's
Hayward or
Hayward, yeah.
Livermore or something.
So they've got a couple of places all throughout the state, Visalia as well. So they're doing this. I think when COVID happened and those COVID dollars were available, I think many districts took advantage of this, right? It was one of those things where we're not going to physically touch things anymore. We're going to digitize things, and it was an opportunity to do so.
And then my next question is, will we be saving any kind of money now, since we're not going to need those, like, are those ours? Are we renting those big containers, or, I'm just curious.
Well, we are planning on moving some of those containers, and where they'll be utilized, I'll leave up to Drew and Jennifer. But we've talked about, there's some storage needs up at Kings Mountain, so we may be moving one up there. And then we also talked about with the Half Moon Bay High School needing to clear out things. Now, high school teachers don't have as much as elementary teachers. Right? They just don't. I mean, they're in their content, but I shouldn't speak for everybody. But we'll have some of these storage containers could be used for those phases of teachers that move out and move back in.
Just curious if they belong to us. Okay.
Crisp Imaging has been around since 2001, has over 20 locations, including San Jose and Livermore. And if it's on the cloud, there's servers that reach that. That's not a difficult move if they were to go out of business.
Do you want a job in IT?
I had one. So this is what we did.
So just a couple questions. You had mentioned that we're going to try and do this on an annual basis. Do we have a sense of what that will cost? obviously a fraction of this.
So if you think about how many kids that graduate from high school, it'll be a minimal piece. So it was our last graduating class at the high school, 300 kids, if that, 250 kids. So it's 250 kids every year, or unless a kid, 180 kids. 180 students. Oh, we have an expert in the back. 180 students. So 200 kids annually wouldn't cost us a lot, and then any personnel files that come through on an annual basis. And we'll build that into our budget moving forward.
And then clarification on the physical containers. So you were mentioning that some of those will then be reallocated someplace else. Are those the ones that are in the Hatch field currently? No,
those are those are full of stuff that we ask teachers and custodial staff to put stuff in there. Some people have pulled them out, but there's still stuff in there. It's just, like I said, when you pack it away, some people never go back and grab it. So we probably need to take some time to actually do that.
Yeah.
I know that when I was up at the high school, they had a bin out there, and I believe it was our maintenance team was going through where there was a leak in it, and it was part of, I don't know if they were costumes or robes for choir, but it had to do with something. It was one of those groups, and so they were going through to see what was salvageable and what wasn't. But we would definitely, they're not the ones that we're talking about. The ones that we have for our data records are sitting right behind our IT office.
Got it.
And in our yard here at the district.
Yeah, it would be great to remove those from the Hatch field at some point because, there's no reason to have them there.
I think every campus probably should at least have one, maybe the high school too, because of the emergency response. So there are things that you actually need there for that, right? Depending on the size of your school, you would need, your water tanks, your whatever you might need for medical, or actually I should say a disaster emergency.
Okay, I hadn't thought about this before, but currently our stuff, we don't need it physically scanned anymore because it's already electronic, right? So we would just send it to the cloud. Like, they're not going to be physically scanning the future kids because we already have it there. Okay. Okay. I just feel like there would be.
But I believe we still have CUMs, student CUMs that are done. We still do CUMs. Yeah, so CUM is an entire record of when kids come in from TK all the way through high school, where teachers actually will write in at the very end of the year on the back of a CUM. I'll bring one to show you at our one-on-ones, but we still have those that have all their medical information, I believe.
It's like a folder with the students' information, and not everything that happens at the school is a school record. There are like certain documents that are records. So it's like a folder with all the information, report cards, birth certificates,
And what we have,
transcripts.
And what we have in the student information system may not have everything that's in there. But you're right. I mean, there could be a crossover as we start morphing into some of those things.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes 5-0.
All right, thank you. That takes us to item 4, communications, public comments on non-agenda or consent items. Oh, we got some. Thank you. Anne Maury, come on down. Thank you so much. You have 3 minutes.
I gave you, it's on a blue paper. One side is a letter from the staff to Mr. Kotchett. He's taken an interest in the swimming program, the summer swim program, and it being canceled and not being able to use the pool and so forth. And then I went through it and made some comments, and they're on the back side. So when I saw that, I was away a couple days, but when I saw this letter, I was in shock. A lot of things we've talked about over the last 5 months, and now they're in the letter. So the The third paragraph, the swimming lessons offered by the California Aquatic Center involve a high-risk scenario. That's just not true. Swimming lessons, the kids can all stand up in the pool. There's 5 children to a teacher. Parents are sitting there watching them. It's not a high-risk activity. All right. Probably most of you know how to swim. You probably took swimming lessons. You've watched swimming lessons for your kids. It's not a high-risk activity, beginning swim lessons, and that's what we're talking about. The paragraph before, in fact, I skipped it. Costly lawsuits arising from sexual assault and molestation claims that occur on string property can result in bankrupting a district. The swim program up at Half Moon Bay High School is very open. I think if people go back and look at molestation cases that have happened, they're not at a swimming pool beginning swimming lessons. And if they are involved in a swimming program, it's usually in a locker room. There's no locker room up there that we use. So the parents are watching their own children, and the chances that they're going to be molested during that half hour are very slim. All right, so then the next comment, instructors will come into direct and incidental contact. A teacher-student relationship, the two bodies, the teacher and the student are in proximity. You can't teach a student from 100 yards away or from 500 yards away or something. You have to be right there with them. All right, so that's what teaching is. The last paragraph, the district supports Ms. Morey. I just have to be very honest with you. I haven't felt any support in the last 5 months. You know, the staff hasn't been that supportive. I know you don't make reactions as the board. I haven't felt supportive. I haven't felt the swim program has been supported.
Your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope you'll read both sides of this.
All right. Item B, 4B, Employee Organizations Report, CUTA. Thank you.
Off. There we go. I was very excited in the construction project presentation today. My classroom was a major feature, so that was a big moment for me in my teaching career. Just have a couple of items to discuss. One of the things on our consent agenda tonight is voluntary transfers. And as was negotiated, these conditions we are supposed to be notified as a union. We feel like maybe it was just an oversight that we were not notified, but legally, if it were to be challenged, then these would be involuntary transfers. So we would like to make sure that we are notified in the future. We would also humbly request a reset on the enrichment program that's being discussed at the TK and K level. Meeting was held with 3 teachers. Those 3 teachers were all available because they are working summer school. Most of us are not working right now. And it was agreed at negotiations that we would collaborate on the impacts of the enrichment program. So we would request for a reset and ask for another opportunity to have some input on that issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Is our CSEA representative here? Okay. So we're going to item 5, the consent agenda. Items listed under the consent agenda are of a routine nature and are not anticipated for board discussion. The superintendent recommends their approval. If any board member requests the removal of an item from the consent agenda, it should be taken off and individually considered as a regular agenda item. The consent agenda requires a motion, a second, and approval by a roll call vote. Each item approved by the governing board on the consent agenda is considered in full and adopted as recommended.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Carmen?
Aye.
Lisette?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Brianna?
Aye.
Mary Beth?
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
Great, thank you. I missed the joke. Item number 6, governing board reports. Board members.
I'll do just a quick one. Mary Beth and I both attended a school funding task force meeting. Mary Beth was in person. I was on Zoom. This was the third one, my first. I'm not sure how many Mary Beth have attended, but it's with other school board members in our county, put on by San Mateo County Office of Education, and collaborating about how we all can support bills or what we can do legislatively to increase funding. And I was very heartened by how other districts feel exactly the same way we do, and that we really can work together to better education funding. So that was interesting, and I'm excited to continue forth. I think we all can attend these. This wasn't something we just, I don't know, we got something in our emails when I signed up for it. I don't know how I missed the first two. So that was cool. And I think the slides are available, I believe, on the SMCOE website. There's a task force landing page. And I attended one other thing. I don't remember. I think maybe it was just the construction for the high school. But I really do think QK is doing a great job. I don't want to say that they didn't do a great job with El Granada, but the way that they are, they're not putting the cart before the horse. With El Granada, it felt like there were all these options and all this exciting things, and then it was all taken back. And now I feel like they're being super realistic and giving money before we get excited about things. And I'm just really appreciative of the process that they're following.
I'll go next just because I want to follow up a little bit on what Brianna said, if that's okay. I just talking about that thing with the county, I just really wanted to thank the county for putting it together. Because like Brianna said, all our school districts, there's a lot of, the lesser funded school districts are all feeling frustrated and have for a long time, not just in our counties, but others, but we've never had really an entity trying to help us steer it, and they're serious. They want to get a bill together, and they have a plan for, who they're taking it to first and how we're going to get it to the floor and all that, and these, they know what they're doing. They're politically savvy, but I really think we're going to get some type of bill out of this. Whether it goes anywhere, we don't know. But it looks like, and part of what we talked about was the 3 buckets they're looking at to kind of build this bill around. It's either cost of living adjustment, something for, our area, because San Mateo County has districts that are super rich and super poor. But how to work with that somehow. And then they've got some excess funds that the county gets sometimes, but have always had to be returned to the state. So maybe some legislation around, letting them keep that. Or the third idea was around housing, somehow making it so staff could qualify for low-income housing, because most of our staff won't qualify for that. So those were some of the ideas. They came back from the first 2 meetings where people were given input. So that's kind of where they're going to focus on one of those three going forward. So that was that. So thank you to the County Office of Education because they are really trying to help our county out to have more equitable funding and kind of leading the charge. So thank them for that. The other thing I want to talk about is in my email where I'm getting all kinds of ads and school board stuff. I saw an ad from Power School and it said, you know, CUSD, blah, 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 does a great job. And I was like, oh, what other district is called CUSD? You know, I thought it was going to be like, I don't know, some other name. And I looked and it said Cabrillo Unified. And it was a whole advertisement for them about a school district that is doing well on getting their attendance, their chronic absenteeism is what I'm trying to say. Thank you. They're helping get their chronic absenteeism down and how that we've used their tool, their Power School tool to do so. And then I was reading about it. I'm like, wow, that's really impressive. And then I look and it's like, click this link for a conference call or to hear what these people, and it was James Barnes and another person, and they were on this call talking about all these things they have implemented and ideas they have. And it was really good. And I was super proud of us, Here we were, star, and it's a national thing. I saw another one today, and it was about something else, but it was a school in North Carolina. And I'm like, we made like the national news here, and James was very good on the call. Like I was like, wow. So that was pretty cool. And I think, thank you, Rosie, and Ramon, because I think they put it in our Monday memo, so that was there. So anyway, I thought that was cool. So I wanted to bring that up. I also just wanted to remind my fellow board members that they are still screwing with the Prop 98 guarantee for our school funding, and they're asking us to give input about, hoping they don't screw with that because that's the basis of our school funding. So reminding you all, check your email and look for ways to advocate for that. And then in closing, I just wanted to thank Rosie for your board bits. I like that. She's been giving us some policy updates, little pieces, policies that are kind of going along with whatever we're working along. So it's kind of nice because we might be, discussing, working on something and then we can see our actual policy. So keeping that top of mind, as that is our job, is supposed to be, policy stuff. So thank you for that. And the newsletter's great. Dr. Miramonte's keeping us in the loop with a little newsletter, which is kind of nice, just with some highlights and stuff to learn, stuff we can learn. So I want to thank you for that. Thank you, everyone, for the LCAP. I know it's a lot of work. It's a ton of work. It's a huge part of your job. So thank you for that. And Jennifer, thank you for all the budget stuff, because I know we just voted on it really quickly today, but I know it's a ton of work. And I just want to thank all our staff for a great year and for all the staff working summer school. And thank you all for keeping things running. And I feel like we're moving in a good direction. And we actually have some money to work with to improve things through bonds and parcel taxes and Funds 40 and things. And I know everyone's working really hard because it's actually a lot of work to spend money. So thank you all.
Go next. Buenas tardes a todos. Si me están escuchando siempre como empiezo en español. Ojalá que todos estén disfrutando sus veranos. Los maestros que están en vacaciones, yo sé que como mamá yo no puedo esperar a que ya empiece la escuela, porque no siempre los adolescentes están tomando el tiempo para hacer cosas educativas. Más que leer lo que están viendo en el teléfono. Y más que nada, quería nada más darles las felicidades a todas las personas que hicieron posible la graduación de los listos. Fue algo siempre es tan emocionante y tan bonito ver a los pequeños y como estaba yo ahí con Jennifer y ella estaba tomando fotos y ella hizo un comentario que realmente sí tenía mucha razón. Desde esa edad ya puedes ver un poco de sus características, de sus personalidades y las cosas que tal vez van a hacer o lo que puedan hacer en el futuro, y es algo tan bonito. Gracias a todos los maestros. Fue algo, realmente es una celebración. Si no han ido los presentes, es algo que sería muy bonito que presenciaran. los papás, ellos mismos, coordinan y ponen todo, arreglan. Este año hicieron un arreglo bellísimo de muchísimos globos y eso fue donado por unos papás que tienen un alumno allí y todos los papás colaboraron con traer comida. Siempre es un evento muy bonito porque vienen todas las familias. Y yo sé, nada más viendo la graduación, sé cuánto trabajo ha de ser también para los maestros y pues felicidades a todos. Es lo que, para mí eso siempre, acabo de ir y también eso es lo que me encanta, ir a las graduaciones, ver las celebraciones, ver los logros que han hecho y como siempre tratar de superarlo y hacer mejor otro año. I just wanted to say I hope everybody's enjoying their summer, teachers who are off and the students, and I as a parent can't wait for school to start. I hope everyone enjoys their summer, even though it's a little difficult. I also just wanted to just congratulate everybody for the Los Listos graduation, from the teachers to the parents to the students. It's one of my most favorite graduations to go to. If you haven't been there, I urge you to put it in your calendar, hopefully next year. And if you want to go to their first day of school, I know that we've been welcome to come to first day of school of the program. And it was something that Jennifer said, because Jennifer was the photographer, and her daughter is also an amazing teacher there as well. And she did mention, she said, it's interesting how they are so little, but you could always already see their personalities and their strengths and all their good qualities. It's just beautiful to see the families come together and to support them, and hopefully that support continues on. And because it's a long road and it's not always as easy as we think, because we just see the graduations and we don't see all the hard work that all the teachers. So thank you to Graciela, to Rosalba, to all the teachers that are involved. It's a really cool, and it's their 5th year of them being inclusive, meaning this is their 5th year where they have more inclusivity with special needs students and families, and it's amazing. It's a really, I think it's a positive and it's a win-win for the parents, the families, and mainly the students. And that's all. I hope everybody continues to enjoy their summer while the rest of us are struggling. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Enjoy your summer.
I will second everything Lizette said about Los Litos. I was able to attend, and it was very cute. And I got to learn a little bit about the program and the fact that the special needs kids are in the classroom is very touching, I think. The only other thing I want to talk about just very briefly is just to emphasize the opportunity that the community has with the building of the pool. So I've had several meetings in the last couple weeks with people from Friends of Half Moon Bay, and then some people have reached out to me from the county, and everyone has a sense that we are at the precipice of something significant that maybe we've been waiting for decades. So just collectively, for the board, the district, the community, let's make sure we take advantage of the situation and we bring together all the elements and create something that will not only serve the high school and our district, but the community as well. So that's it. That's all I have.
I just want to piggyback on your comment about the pool, and I do have to make a comment. This year, my daughter and her and neighborhood kids who all live in the same area where we live, they couldn't have enough pool time. I mean, it was just amazing because we don't have, mainly the community where I live, we don't have access to a swimming pool. We don't have access to those kind of things. So it's almost like a luxury. So the fact that they have put in some time during the school year, it's just like, it's so amazing. And it's amazing all way around. Like, the kids are comfortable with the water. They're a little, I mean, it's intimidating to wear something more fitted, but it gets them also comfortable, like, just with their bodies, their self-esteem, and they play and they enjoy it like the kids that they are. And a lot of the times, you know, some kids have access to those kind of opportunities, but there are a lot of kids who don't. And I know that that was very, very, very important. So as much as I agree we have to all collaborate, I think we also have to think about our students and as a priority.
I think that concludes our board reports. I'm not going to say much because you guys all are so eloquent, and thank you. And I'm in summer mode as well. So, Dr. Miramontes.
Yeah, just a couple of things. As you heard, lots of construction and preparing for school, custodial crews cleaning classrooms, which I want to send a little shout out to them as well, getting things ready. Our staff at the district office planning for the next school year, all the things that have to happen. And then, speaking of school finances, received an email, and Jim will be representing our district with it's a community-based organization called School for Funding, Schools for Sound Finance, which again is a group of community-based school districts that are working together to sort of collaborate. So I also want to say happy 4th of July. That's next weekend, I should say. Celebrating Proud to be an American, right? Sitting at the CALSA conference with 500 educators, have a team there. And everybody's going through the same thing of our immigrant families, how we support them. Dr. Alberto Calvaro, the LAUSD superintendent, was the keynote speaker today, spoke very highly of his life and how he, as an immigrant, has been able to do what he's done because of education. And and I think if not all educators feel the same way, you know, the kids that come to our doorsteps every day are our own kids, right? And so we need to take care of them, protect them, and work with our school families. And I was really proud, got a text from a board member from a different district asking what we have done to protect this. So I'm glad we have plans, and not just our own plans, but a collective group within the community-based organizations and the County of San Mateo, right? The county and the County Office of Education on how we're all collaborating together, right? If you're a district that's by yourself trying to figure this out, it is difficult. So just want to thank Leticia for the work that she and Rosalba and our team have done. And so it's just a reminder that currently the political scheme is a little scary here, you know, and so, I mean, but I want to emphasize to our families that we've got their best interest in mind. So thank you.
I think we are going to be adjourning to a closed session. We're going to be discussing, are there comments? No comments? Okay. All right. And we're going to be discussing student matters.